Hello there. I hope you're all doing well. Good to see you. What I've got is a tab here that just needs muting. So I'm just going to turn that off right now so I can actually pay more attention to you. Thanks so much for joining me here. If you're looking at it on demand live, I don't think too much happening just at the moment because of one thing and another. It's middle afternoon. Didn't announce it beforehand, but there you go. And what I thought I'd do today is just have a bit of a sort of a nice, easy draw, really. Just do a little bit of drawing, perhaps do a little bit of chat as well. And what I'm actually after drawing, because I need it for a project, is a spaceship, sort of a warp ship, a la one of my favorite all-time programs, Star Trek, but a bit more connected with NASA. I'm even wearing my NASA t-shirt today. There you go. And I'll show you the sort of thing I mean. There's something called the IXS Enterprise, which is a sort of an idea for an actual warp ship. Now, I've got a browser window here that I'm just going to bring down onto this screen, like so, just here. So there we go. And if I just get that so you can see all of that. So there's just a bunch of different things that I've grabbed here, whoops-a-daisy, from the internets. Here, just had a quick Google on that and got some stuff, some ideas for reference. And what I typically do when I'm collecting reference like this is put it into a referenced application. And I have one running here. It's called PureRef, like so. And I just drag my reference images into this. Okay, so I've got them there. You'll notice that even while I'm in Illustrator, it's persistent. So if I was drawing a detail area where I wanted to see these, then I could do that. Hopefully we've got a little bit of music going in the background. It's not too loud and you can hear all of that, which is really good. It's just a nice relaxing time now. And pop your questions in the chat. I've got assistance today in the form of my co-worker and also daughter, Chloe. She's running that for me so she can let me know of anything that I might need to see. So what I'm going to do then, I'm just going to hide PureRef just for the moment because I've got the idea. I want sort of a disk and a sort of a cabin area at the front and a couple of these generators which will generate the sort of rift in space necessary for this to move, or move space around it to be, I think, more accurate. There we go. So I'm just going to hide PureRef just for the moment. So let's just go ahead and do that and then start working Illustrator. Now, while I'm a big advocate of all of the native tools in production, I actually use an awful lot of the Astute Graphics tools, and I'm going to do that today here. It won't be any exception because I kind of have to do this thing or this stuff in a bit of a rush. You know, it has to be done and done accurately and done quickly. So that's why I do that. So I start off here because what I'm going to draw is symmetrical. I start off here by using a plugin called MirrorMe. Okay, and what that allows me to do is to come along and place an axis like so. I'm just finding the center here of my artboard. There we go, just there. Okay, and then I click to place that axis. Now, you can have more than one axis. In fact, it's a great thing if you want to draw or create mandala. You can do that inside of here quite easily. You just use the bracket keys to change those around. But what I'm going to do is apply this to my layer like so. Okay, and that's it. It's now persistent on the layer. Anything I draw in this top half just here will be mirrored beneath. Let's just have a quick look at how that works. If I get my ellipse tool and draw an ellipse just here, you can see instantly I've got it on the other side, which is really, really handy, of course. Right, I'll collapse up the MirrorMe panel and I'll start some rough drawing perhaps to begin with. So I know I need that disk at the front there. So I'm going to use my ellipse tool like so. And I'm going to hold down the Option key or Alt key here to go out and draw my initial disk. I think about this size would be pretty good, like that. There's something wrong actually with my Illustrator at the moment because I've noticed that the properties panel keeps disappearing. What that is about, I do not know, but it keeps disappearing. I feel like I'm in a pantomime. I should get you to shout out behind you when it's gone or something like that. And if you don't know what a pantomime is, Wikipedia is a great source of knowledge about some of the weirder sides of Britishness. There we go. So I've got that. I'm also going to want kind of a rectangle at the back here. Again, a quick jump back to pure ref. So I'm going to need a few different things here. Now, I'm not doing it exactly like these images and whatever. This one's from Star Trek, just here, by the way. But I'm going to go with something like it, something that's a bit more part of our century, which this clearly isn't, but this definitely is. Okay, so I'll go ahead and hide pure ref just for a moment. Let's get some rectangles on the go. So I'm going to get my rectangle tool, and I think I'm just going to draw from about here. So let's get the proportion of this. I'm going to go more sort of enterprise than I am the actual IXS enterprise. So more sort of NCC 1701 than than this one. Okay, and there's a couple of other things I'm going to need there. Of course, I can elaborate on all of these as I go. So I'm just going to draw another rectangle here across the top. So this will be part of the actual generator just here, the sort of warp generator. And I'll do another one just at the back here. I don't have to worry about centering these things because it doesn't matter where I'm drawing. Okay, they will end up centered, of course, by the mirror function, okay, that I've got going on just there. Let's draw one more just down here, like so. Okay, so something like that, because I kind of like the way their cabin moves into this sort of dish array at the front. And then I'm going to get the direct selection tool. So I'm going to tap A for that, pick up one of these points. Okay, and when I've got it, just here, weirdness. When I've got it, I'm getting no widgets. So I'm just going to check that my corner widgets are showing here. I'm not saying hide corner widget. Oh, it might be because of the MirrorMe function, so not too desperately worried. The way that I would do this anyway, oh, there it is now. How weird is that? Now that it's there for all four corners. Bonkers bizarre. I'll just undo that. Okay, let's try again with the direct selection tool, because the widgets should show when I have that point there, but there we are, not to worry. Like I said, there's other ways to do this, and one of the things I would use is the dynamic corners tool from Astute Graphics. So I'd go ahead and get that, and then just come along and add my corner like so. So I'll just bring that out. There we go. I've got that corner just there. I'm going to go ahead to this corner just here and change this because it has a slight bevel on it, and then just click on this one. It takes those things across. Okay, and then just do that again, the same just here. And you can see how easy it is for me to do that, and especially with that MirrorMe function going on there. It's also very, very useful when I want to make changes, which actually right now I do. Okay, so here with this rectangle in the middle, I'm going to make that much, much narrower, like so, much closer to the actual cabin or forward cabin area just there. And then I'm going to add some nacelles. Now, if you have ever watched Star Trek, any version of Star Trek, you would notice a key characteristic of Star Trek vessels are the nacelles, the two engines that come out of the back there, or the two field generators, I believe is what they actually are. Okay, not that that matters. There's not a test at the end, no quiz, just there. So I'll do that. Let's get some dynamic corners on here. I'm going to round these in pretty much the same way as they would be. Now this end, I'm actually going to change the corner type. Now while that's active, I can go ahead and click that and then just model that like so. Okay, so that's sort of an homage to some of the early, or the first versions of Star Trek, of course, the classic series from the 1960s. I wonder what the 60s were like. I'm kidding, of course, because it's patently obvious I was there. So I'm just going to go ahead and bring those out just away. And now I'm going to do a little bit of cleanup. Even at this stage, I'm just going to clean up some things because I want to actually build these out. So I'm going to get my shape builder just here and then unify some things. So I'm going to unify this one just here. Across here, I'm going to actually not unify that in a cell. I'm going to unify the field thing around here. And I think, do you know what? I think that could actually be just a little bit bigger. So I'll take that up like so. All right, so something like that. And let's make it a little bit wider as well. So I'm going to pick that one up again. Okay, come out like that. I can get rid of all the other bits in there. Shift M for the shape builder. Just here. And there we go. So I just go ahead and pick this up. Just drag across those like so. Oh, I need everything selected there for that to actually happen. There we are. That's it. Groovy. And of course, if I wanted to change the line weights there, then I could do that. So I need to just finally miss that, do this bit of cabin just here. So I'll go ahead and do exactly that. Good. Now I can start some of the other work. Now for me, that begins here by starting to create some paneling detail on these. So the strokes I'm using currently at the moment are 10-point strokes. I'm going to drop that down with the next thing I draw. Okay, here to about, I don't know, let's go halfway. That gives us plenty of latitude there for the panels, because the varying line weights will be one of the things that actually carries it. So, of course, I've lost the center now of this particular circle. Again, not a problem. I can go ahead and use another one of my Astute Graphics tools just here. I've got this curvature circle tool, which I use for just this kind of situation. Okay, and you'll see that when I hover over this, it kind of completes the circle for me. It also redraws it with the line weight that I specified here. And then I'm going to scale this down from the center. So I'm going to hold down Shift and Option. Okay, and Gordon Reed is in the chat. Hello, Gordon. Nice of you to join me live, mate. Lovely. Hope you're doing well. And good to see you here. Yeah, they're letting me live from my padded cell. This is actually where I work most of the time, Gordon. I mean, out there in the studio, of course, but in here, when I'm actually recording some stuff, this is where I actually work. I'll have to come around sometime. It's not as snug as it looks. But there you go. Right, now that I've done that, well, actually, I'm going to just back that off a little bit, because I'm going to use the scale tool. So I'm just going to tap S here to get the scale tool. I don't need to click anything anywhere else. Okay, I'm just going to hit return like so to get the dialogue just here, and then just bring this down. So I think about sort of 80% looks pretty good for that. So I'm just going to go copy just there. Of course, if I didn't want to click that, okay, and then I could just go ahead and hold down the Option key and hit return, which saves me a little bit of time. So I'm just going to repeat that with Command D just a few times just to get some of that detail on there. Now it is actually scaling the strokes there as well. So each of the strokes is becoming 80% less than the previous one. Not too much of a worry there. I'm just going to set those back to 5 just for the moment though, because I want those. Actually, do you know what? I'm going to go a bit further than that. I'm going to go 3 just to get those differing line weights in there. And again, straight in with the shape builder here to get rid of the things that I don't actually need. So I'm just going to kill off basically in all of that lot there in its entirety. So I'm back to that. Good. So the next problem I've got, of course, is how do I draw these paneling lines here? And Denny's in saying, do I stream on Twitch? No, I don't stream on Twitch. I do stream here on YouTube, and I stream on Behance, but not on Twitch at the minute. Do you think I should stream on Twitch? It's kind of more though. I know that there are a great creator community on Twitch, but for me, Twitch still equals gaming. That's what I see there. So anyway, there we are. So back with the main program, as it were. That's still not exactly what I want there, but still I can live with it. So for the paneling, what I would do here, the verticals and everything, they're pretty straightforward. I could have drawn this with the polar grid tool, but I don't want them to be dead regular. So what I am going to do is I'm going to use another Astute tool. I'm going to use the perpendicular line tool here, and this allows me to draw lines that are perpendicular, okay, to the axis from which they come. So I'll just go ahead and draw one here, for example. I'll make my way around, just drawing a few more here. I'm not worried about the regularity with the mirroring at the moment. What I'd sometimes do is leave a few lines free Okay, and then just add a few at the end just to take the regularity out, or the symmetricalness of it. Okay, so just to add a few more there, like so, and then make my way around to the next panel and do exactly that. And again, this isn't a tutorial as such. I know I'm delivering it in that style. Deliver it in the style of a tutorial. This is basically me drawing, getting something ready for a job that I'm working on, and chatting to you while I do it. So feel free to ask anything as within reason as we go along. It's just, I just remember Gordon's on. So let's just say within reason. I'd love to know how the world of Middle Boop is going on, mate, if you get a minute to do that. So do let me know. Okay, something else here, let me just undo that. Something else you might notice is I've got a panel here called the Astute Buddy, which is actually helping me to work out where things are going and which keys I can press, okay, to perform a set of different operations. So let's just make sure that's tangent between from there. So let's go ahead and just undo that. And let's just make some changes now. Swap that out a bit. So what I'm doing here at the moment, just adding a few more of those panels. Now, of course, those lines at the minute, bit strong. So I'm probably going to change those just there. There goes that properties panel again. It's just vanooshed straight in front of me. Right, as soon as I came away from that, that's very, very interesting, you know, that it's doing that. Very interesting. I'm just going to select the same line weight just here, and I'm going to bring those down still further. I think I'm going to go to 1 point just there for the minute. Okay, so that's working okay just now. I might also bring that backwards a shade as well. So I might just deselect that lot and just back that up just a bit. I'm not worried about that projection because I'm actually going to use this piece here, this line segment, okay, to create the actual screen for the first one. So I'm just going to get hold of my scissors tool here and cut this at the beginning and at the end. Okay, I'm pretty sure I did use it on something other than an endpoint. Let's just have a quick look. There we go. And it does behave a bit weirder when you're using the MirrorMe tool. It does, because it changes the drawing model that Illustrator has natively. I'm going to bring that down here in length by using this tool, which is called the Extend Path tool. It's part of the Path Scribe set from Astute Graphics. And another thing you have to watch out for is the duplication of some lines. So I've got a few things here, okay, which are duplicating. So to get around that, I'm just going to cut this line to the clipboard. And again, just select across this slot and get my shape builder tool and just build that out like so. This is a good exercise doing this live, you know, because things can and will go wrong when they need to. So let's get my pen tool here and pull out a few of these points. So I've got a couple of points that I really don't want. So I'm going to switch modes here. I'm going to go into outline mode. That way I can pick up one of these lines or find where this stuff is coming from. Just here. Let's zoom in on that. Selection tool active. Right, that just appears to be a rogue line segment on its own. This one just here, it's not a rogue segment. So I'm going to get both of those two things if I can. That one there and that one there. Let's see if I can correct that with the shape builder. It looks like I might be able to. There we go. And there we go again. And there we go again. Let's come out of that. No. And that's one of the things you get. If these things aren't aligned perfectly, you do get some of these problems. I'm going to go into isolation mode on this one. And with that selected, come along and get rid of some of these points. There appear to be multiple paths stacked together here. So maybe I can delete that by getting hold of a segment. And these are the problems you come up against. I had to do a massive one of these a couple of years ago for a job that was imagining that Star Trek had, rather than being an invention of Gene Roddenberry in the US, if the Federation was actually British and slightly steampunk, which was good fun. Right, I think because I'm isolated on that, I can't actually drill away from there. So let's just go ahead now and try and find where that point is. There we go, got it. So here, what I can do, when I can get that selected, it's proving to be a piglet at the minute, is I should be able to deselect that. And what I'm hoping to show you here as well is how to get around when this sort of thing happens. It's unusual for it to happen this early on, but normally I'm concentrating a bit more than I am right at this particular moment. So I'm just going to come out of that for a sec. Let's just have a quick look at where we are here, because I can see a few different segments here that have joined together that I don't need. So what I'll do is I'll retract those back with my properties panel is now back. Weird. I would retract these back here. So if I get hold of this one, for example, I'd pull that one back like so. Okay, just to get it out of the way. And let's see what's going on with this one. You can see there, it's been a really unusual cut. And that's got nothing to do with the tools that I'm using. It's literally to do with Illustrator's drawing model. So let's just go ahead and see if we can kill that one away. All right, so I've got that isolated, so I can go ahead and pick up some of these points. I'm just going to remove that one there and go ahead and use my extend path tool. If I was doing this without these tools from Astute Graphics, what I'd end up doing is drawing lines across the bits I wanted to remove. Okay, and then from there, I'm just going to try and cut this one now by isolating it. There we go. Got exactly what I need. So now I'm going to use the scissors tool. So you basically do something like that. You get the scissors tool and cut the bits away, or draw additional paths and slice them using the shape builder, something like that. Now I've got those. This is where this and then you'd have to join these things together. Now, if I do that the native way here, if I just select across these two things, okay, for some reason not getting a selection, I'm only assuming that's got something to do with the video. I then have to join those together by using the average command, Option Command J, Alt Control J, to do that, and averaging them and then joining them like that. Or I could just select both with the direct selection tool and do Command J. It would draw another segment in there. So if I went ahead and clicked on that, you would see there were other points. I'm just going to make sure that all of my points here are actually showing. So yeah, I should be seeing, it wasn't showing edges. There we go. You can see it's added those 2 points. So let's just come out of that and undo it again. This way, with the extend path tool, I can go ahead and join those 2 things together just like that, and it joins exactly at that place. Even if, and here's a bit for adventure's sake, even if, let's just say I decided to get rid of maybe this line segment. So if I get hold of this line segment here and delete it, even if I was drawing this, okay, you can see it honors the curvature of the path straight away. So it really is super, super useful. I'll go ahead and do that. And there's another path. I think what has actually happened here is there's a stack of paths, one on top of each other. And that is what we would call in here a picnic, meaning that the problem is in the chair, not in the computer. So it's an error that I made. Like so. Now I've got that on for curvature. So I'm going to go from the other end, just undo that and go from the other end here until they join, which they should do around about there. Or if I get closer and then join. And this time, as I drag, I'm going to tap E on my keyboard to change the extension method that I'm getting and then get those to that point. There we are. And there's still yet another path underneath that. Wow. That's a fair few that it's actually added on just there with those operations. And that just goes to show you, if you're not concentrating on what you're doing, it can easily go horribly wrong. But there we are. This should be the last one, I think. So I think I made just a few cuts there. And it's telling me about the scissors tool, which I know. There we are. And finally, we're back where we need to be, although there's an inconsistency in the line weights, but that's going to be easy enough for me to clean up. Where the heck have all those come from? That is super bizarre. They were all extended. I think I know what I did. Not to worry, but they're going to be easy enough to add back on. I can now see where those line segments came from. So I will just do that. But here, of course, it makes it a lot easier to do because I don't have to go and draw a bunch of different things. I've got the perpendicular line tool here, and I can just go ahead and add some more segments. I'll just do them here and at, what did I say, 1 point, I think. Do some of those and draw like so across there. If you haven't investigated the tools from Astute, by the way, who have no affiliation with what I'm doing here today, this is literally what I would use. Thank you, Adobe Germany, on there. Guten Tag, guten Abend. Good to see you. I wasn't being much of a wizard just then. I was just forgetting myself completely when I was chopping stuff up and making an almighty mess between there. I can extend, by the way, beyond that. And something else I could do, which I'm going to show in a minute, is actually create an array with a perpendicular path tool. So I can create a whole bunch of different things. Let's just do that just on a curve. I'm going to get my, my curvature pen tool here and just put 3 points down. So I've got a curve. This is just for demonstration. It's nothing to do with the ship. I'm then going to get this perpendicular path tool. So I'll hit escape to stop drawing. Get that and get this tool from Astute Graphics just here. Now I'll go over, you can see there are 2 line segments here. I'm going to draw a path away. Okay. And what I can then do, okay, is tap A on here. Okay. Thank you very much, Adobe UK. That's awesome. And hi, Tim. So I can draw outwards like so. Now, if I tap A again, it goes along the length of the entire path. Okay, now I can vary the amount there by using the up and down arrow keys on my keyboard, like so. Okay, and I can also tap R to introduce some randomization. And I can shuffle the randomization by tapping S on the keyboard. And when I am actually drawing one of these things for reals, which I sort of am at the moment, but basically I'm creating a base plot here to start off with. When I am doing one of these for reals, I do use that a lot. And something else I use, which will help me with the hatches and things like that a bit later on, will make more sense to you as well. I'm just going to get that tool one more time. So I really couldn't, I'm not going to say I can't live without these tools, because I can and have for a long, long time. So I'm not super worried about that. Okay. But I do find that they save me an enormous amount of time. Now that wasn't going to connect properly. So what I did, I drew halfway across, okay, and then came along and finished. Hey, Tim. Yes, and draw those bits like so. So I'm going to go ahead now and draw some segments across the body here. Now, these are going to be pretty straightforward. Okay, I've got that thing still on the clipboard, and I need to draw just over halfway here, and I'm kind of on the money. There we are. And I can draw some straight line segments in here too, just to give the idea that there is some paneling, right? Because you're not going to get a completely preformed ship of this magnitude, not just yet. And this is the thing, is that, you know, people think, how about to get this all stuff into space? And here's a question for you, right, that I'd like to ask, or if you've ever considered, working on the assumption that you've watched Star Trek at some point. Okay, there are villains in Star Trek called the Klingons. Right, the baddies in Star Trek are called Klingons. Just going to have a quick bit of coffee, and they have logos on their ships, so that means they must have a design department, right? They can't not have a design department. And how does graphic design work? What's this? How do you reckon the Klingons, that because they're a warlike race, a race of warriors, how do they go on? Yeah, for you know, when their buddies are all out, you know, doing combat training. I'm just moving that out of the way just a second. I'm just finding where those lines are. So I'm just going to go ahead and paste down the line I had earlier. So just drop that in there. I'll use that in just a second. This one here, I'm going to cut that, and then I'm going to fix these lines here because it is bugging the whatever out of me just now. I'm going to lock that one, Command 2. I'm going to go ahead and do a series of locking and unlocking things until I get the culprit I'm after. That's one of them. Let's go ahead and cut that just there. Hold down the Command key for temporary access to the selection tool. Let's go ahead and get this one just here. See, again, just get my direct selection tool there and get rid of that one. There's another one there. Let's get this particular line here. But anyway, yeah, back on the Klingons. So how does it go with their buddies, right, when they're in graphic design school, considering, you know, line weights and all of those kind of things, all of that good stuff. And yeah, where everybody else is busy being entirely warlike. So it can't be the smoothest ride, I wouldn't have thought, for them. Man, there were a lot of segments created there. Note to self, don't do that again. There we are. Let's get rid of those. Now I can paste that thing back down in front. Command F, Control F to do that. So Adobe Germany, how's it going over there? How are you doing? What goes on? Live stream, just one more week of streams, I think, until Christmas break, which would be nice. I'm going to apply a width profile to this. So what I'm going to do is use my width profile tool here. So my width tool, Shift W to get to that. I'm going to come out to this point just here. Now this may be a bit kind of ropey because it's having to do it across 2 axes. Can you see that? So this might be one of the things where I actually don't do that until the very end, until I've released the MirrorMe plugin, okay, to go ahead and do that. But the advantage is I can basically do that window shape, which if you think about it, would be a sort of a crescent descending on a curved surface, sort of like a cove surface just there. Yeah, and I can fix all of that after. So Gordon's texting me as well. How fabulous. Hey, Gordon, what you texting me, mate? Oh, you're WhatsApping me. Brilliant. Thanks, mate. Very nice. Very nice. I ought to do some stunning patterns, really. If I hadn't got this amazing job to do, then I would. Right, so some more line segments across here. Hang on a minute. There's something else that's extended there. Now there's something a bit griefy going on that way. Those lines should not be there. So I'm going to unlock everything. Option Command 2, Alt Control 2 to do that. Okay, and let's go ahead and pick what is going on with those lines. That shouldn't be happening just there. Anyway, right. So backslash key to get back to the lines just here, and then just draw some across like so. Of course, these are the edges of the bevel there that would probably exist. And there's some more panels just here. And the fun part, the part that will be most interesting will be the bit where I start to actually add hatch detail and things like that onto this, because that is a very interesting process. Now I'm going to actually align these ones here, because on this bevel edge they probably would be preformed panels just there. So yeah, let's get that. So there's a kind of frequency to it, because if this was a disc, of course it would be going over like that, or a torus. Really, I can see I've got some dodgy line breaks in there, you know, just there. Again, this would be something that I would, it's second nature for me when I'm actually producing stuff like this for reels. Okay, to just jump to this tool because I know it will get the job done. And there are some fairly significant brands that use these tools. So Pentagram use them. Who else have we got? We've got Adidas use them, Nike use them. Shouldn't really say those two things in the same breath, I guess, but I did. Okay, so they use them as well. So let's make sure I'm back in the line tool here and do that. Do you noticing my properties panel just keeps randomly vanishing? It's really off-putting, and I'm going to have to find out what is going on with that. So there we are, like so. Yeah, super good, super good. And maybe just one here and one here. Remember that I'm only having to do half the amount of work because the rest of the work, of course, is going on behind. So I'm just going to make some quick line segments across here, like so. I don't want them to be dead regular, so that's why I'm not using any spacing attributes here. Okay, to do that, let's just go ahead and make some. I think if I make a long segment just there across to around about that point, I'm going to go kind of the opposite way. Not the opposite way, the same way, but a different way. Just there. No, I don't want to make that pixel perfect. It's the blessing and a curse of using a trackpad. I love trackpads. In fact, I've banned mice for everything apart from CAD work in here, because mice are bad for your hands, for a start. Now, let's do something slightly different now. I'm just going to back that path off a little bit here. Okay, so when I can get hold of that. Good, good. And actually, I've backed this one off a bit as well. So let's say I've been drawing all of these things in a hurry, which I kind of have there, and I want to join those things together. That's where the join tool comes in, right? Much overlooked tool in Illustrator. But if I just brush across those, you can see how it completes that really quickly. Okay, so I get all of those things together. Just a couple more lines on here now, I think, to make this just a bit more. Well, in fact, do you know what? I think I'm actually going to carry on that line there from there. It's quite a good line. And let's do some rectangles as well. They're always handy when you're in a hurry. Let's do something like that and something like that. So this is what I mean by hatch detail. But it's the bit where they're going to be onto the saucer sections that will be the interesting stuff. And also hatch details typically, for me, drop down to half the size, or sometimes more, but usually half the size of the other panels. When you're getting small things like this, which would effectively be, you know, kind of like small ports like that. So if I just create a few of those and duplicate those across like so, and I think I'll do another one just here. Okay, and let's do that and spin that around. Ever since they introduced this ability to do this with the same tool, which was in 2014, just in case you were about to ask, made life so much easier. And you can see, even with the addition of those few things there, how much that actually adds to this and starts to look a bit like the diagram that I'm after, but not completely. So we're going to carry on drawing lines with Tony. There we go. And of course, I forgot to switch my line weight back just here. So I'll take this back to 1. There we go. Good. Consistency is important with these things. I'm just going to do the segments that join from, yeah, keep hitting the right-hand side of my trackpad when I'm in this room. Maybe if I move it away. Bizarrely, also, I'm actually on a Cintiq. I could be doing this with the pen. But there you go. And who have we got here? We've got Yakin. Hello, Yakin. Thanks for stopping by. Just me doing a bit of drawing. Not really a tutorial as such for this one. Just me doing some drawing, but feel free to chip in and get involved and ask questions if you have them. And I'll see if I can do what I can do to answer them just here. Trying to oh yeah, that one's good. Why are you held for review? I'm not going to hold that for review. Weird. Yes, there we go. Of course. Control room Chloe handled that for me, I bet. Let me just change this to align to object here, align to selection. Get those two things and do that to bring those on. And this one here, see this with the Illustrator way of doing it, select the point and just move the point. It works. But I really like using these other tools. Now this one should be a bit closer together, but I'm just going to go with that. There we are. And then I could put some other details in here. So again, I'll switch out to my rectangle tool just there, just to pop a few of these things in, just to break up what I've got there. Okay, and then just add some bits coming away from it. The one I did for the Star Trek visualization thing, the steampunk Star Trek visualization, I might see if I can find that in just a minute. Oh, and Astute Graphics are here. I'm using your stuff, guys. I'm drawing with your stuff. Good afternoon to you. Oh, it's Dave. Hello, Dave. And Joaquin has come from LinkedIn. I was watching a course for you and mentioned your channel, so came and liked the content. There we go. Happenstance. You're here by happenstance. That's really good. Well, welcome. Okay. And do you think I should do just random live streams like today where I said, you know what? Chloe's got training to do out there, learning the control room for some of the other things we do in here. So, of course, I'm the easiest thing to work on for those because it doesn't matter so much if it goes wrong. But if you think I should do more, then tell me and we'll factor in time to do more. And I kind of I want to divide them between Behance and here. I've got It's Fours. Do you do animation also? If so, what is your preferable software? Depends on the animation. Most of the time, After Effects. If it's drawn, if I've got drawn elements, I do use Animate. I used to use Toon Boom, and Toon Boom's this years ago, and Toon Boom now is amazing. I might go back to looking at that and maybe get that. So that's why I'm doing that. Stuart just going on there telling you get a 7-day free trial from them, which is really good. And if lovely Astute Dave, if you wouldn't mind also just letting them know that this is not a paid promotion, so I'm not doing anything for you officially at all today. It just so happens that I've got to draw another ship. And so I'm just doing these off my own bat. Here's a cool tool. Now, yesterday I was doing an infographic. Well, in fact, over the last 5 days, I was doing an infographic. And I needed to draw something that you'll see fairly shortly if you're in the Adobe world. A little bit like a tube map. And it was hardcore. And I used this tool, the connector tool, all the time. Tony Harmer stream by and with Tony Harmer, perhaps. Yes, Tim, that is exactly what it is, mate. Exactly what it is. Tim, by the way, who I'm talking to just there, Mr. Evil, is not Mr. Evil. He's not actually from Austin Powers. Sadly, Tim is the producer and studio manager for all of the Adobe Lives in Europe. I think he does do some in the US. Do you do some in the US as well, Tim? I think you do. You get involved with the US gang. I'm pretty certain that you do. So I'm just not bothering with the smart guys just there. I'm just making lines just while I'm reading this stuff as well. Tony's awesome as he uses. He's still, that's true. And I'm glad you've verified it's not a paid promotion, because I'm not here to market your stuff. As I recall, that's the lovely Camilla's job to do that. Who took a really beautiful photograph, by the way, when you speak to her next, Dave. The other day, she took a lovely photograph of the sun coming up, and I think with one of her parents in it. Yeah, so the sun was coming up. One of her parents was in the picture. It was a gorgeous, what looked like a gorgeous sunrise. Yeah, could have been a sunset, I guess. But it was a gorgeous picture. The one thing that ruined it is she'd taken it at an angle, and that's the thing that often gets photos. It gets a lot more out of a photo. It's just to do that, just to check the tilt of your camera just for a minute and try and most of them have got things in the viewfinder or on the screen to help you do that. Yeah, but that one thing would be a lot better, right, to go ahead and do. Right, okay, so I am about ready to start adding some hatch detail to this disc just here. Okay, so the forward disc. And so what I'm going to do is draw a couple of different hatches. Yeah, okay, so a couple of different size things. I'm also going to change the size of those down to half the size that I had before. This one I'm going to make slightly different. What I'm going to do is I am going to draw another rectangle on it because I want it to be a little bit more complicated than it currently is. So my smart guide there is showing me when I'm in alignment. Hold down the Option key, draw a shape thusly. Great word. Like that. Okay, good. And then I'm going to duplicate that on the other side. Select those three things, go for my shape builder tool, hold down the Alt or Option key and just knock those things out. There you go. Oh, it's like an H on its side. And that was accidental. But also a little bit like a razor blade. That's unfortunate. Okay, so what I'm going to use here, okay, is because you imagine trying to position those around there. In fact, let's do that just for a moment. Let's just take this one hatch because I'm probably only going to use this just the one time, this one just here. Then you've got to kind of rotate that around until it sort of looks all right, unless you want to actually calculate the point for that to go on, in which case that's fine. So you'd have to calculate where it was on the circle and all of that stuff. If you wanted to do that, fine, fill your boots. That would be great fun. But I'm going to undo that because I'm going to show you how I'm going to do it. And this, I was lucky enough to do this for Astute Graphics, this particular tool, when it launched, the Orient Transform tool here. And this allows me to take a piece of graphics. So I've got this shape here, okay, just zooming in. And I'm just going to click with those 2 points, like so. The Astute buddy over on the right-hand side is telling me basically how to use the tool. Really, really useful thing. I can then come across onto one of these paths. Now I'm going to hold down the Option key so I make a copy. I can then click and drag across there. Actually, I think I must have just gone away from that for a second. Here's the thing. You've got to select it to affect it. So I didn't have it selected. Okay, so I can come across to this path, hold down the Option key and click and drag like so. Now I'm just keeping my Option key held down. I'm going to scale some of these out like so. Right, and then I can go ahead and draw these along that path or even near the path if I want to, like that. And I could even offset that slightly if I felt like it. Okay, but it's just really, really useful to go ahead and just add some detail like so. Nice and simple. Just there, getting those to look pretty much the way I want them to be. There we go. Let's do that. Let's have a little array of 3 just there. Let's go ahead and put a few more around here. And you could pretty much take any shape. I think in the demonstration I did for Astute, I think I had a sea serpent and it had lots of like scaly fins off the back. And I drew one of the fins and then went around and replicated this and made it smaller as I went around. So there we go. That's how cool that is. Something else I also do periodically as well. So these hatches here, I was eyeballing it. Yeah, we know that. But something else I do sometimes do is this. I pick up one of these paths here. In fact, let's just double click on that to isolate it, because I just want to have a look at it. Right, you can see that that point there is the midpoint where it's being mirrored. But I've got that path just there. Now, I would like to place some of these other hatches at a reasonable interval away from the actual fuselage line, body line, whatever, here, hull line. What I do for that is I use this incredible tool which offsets the path. Now, there is a path offset in Illustrator natively, but in an open path, doesn't work, right? Because it does, but then you have to do a whole load of clipping around it. But I've got a great tool just here. Okay, it's in their stylism set, and it's called the AG offset tool. Again, I was using that extensively yesterday on this other job I was working on. Now, if I just click and drag with this tool, can you see that, how I'm creating all of these extra lines like so? Yeah. Here it's actually performing an effect for me, which I'm going to modify, but I've got this panel. Now, what I want to do is I want to offset these by 2 millimeters. So I'm just going to tap 2 there inside of that field. So 2 there like so. And I'm going to mirror them across the stroke. I'm going to change the number of lines that I'm using there. Okay. And for the stroke weight here, I'm going to retain the original stroke. Now let's go ahead and put 2 on there. Let's just do 3, 4, 5. Then we'll go with the 5 that I'd got. Okay, now I could do other things to offset this, but I'm just going to show you. No, the 5 is too many. Okay, we'll do that like so. Easing just here, I'm going to turn that off so they'll be regularly spaced across that. Okay, and I'm going to keep the stroke and fill as they are. Perfect. Once I've got that, I'm going to expand the appearance just there. So if I go ahead and do Object, Expand Appearance. Now on this machine, I haven't got a shortcut for that. But you know what? I'm going to change it right now because I like it. So I'm going to just go ahead and quickly create a new set. So I'm just going to save a new set here called Tony's. Actually, let's just call it TDN, the Design Ninja, TDN. There we go, like so. I'm going to go ahead and go to my menu commands. In my search field here, I'm going to just type expand, and that will get me expand appearance. In the shortcut field, I use Command 9 because that's not assigned in Illustrator. It's one I can use. So Command 9, I'm then just going to click my save thing there and just say, yeah, overwrite that. That's fine. And hit OK. I could have just hit OK. Now I can use Command 9, and that's expanded like so. It is grouped. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and go into that group. Okay, and then I can just get rid of the things I need. So I need this one here because that's the one from the fuselage. I actually only added these ones on the side just for fluff. So I'm going to get rid of those. Oh, it makes subgroups as well. So I'm just going to keep going until I see path just there. Okay, so I'll just get rid of the 3 on the outside. And because I did this again just for fluff, I'll get rid of that one there. This one and this one, I identify those so they are separate there by changing their color. So I'm going to make them blue like so. Something else I might want to do here, right, is actually extend these as well, which funnily enough I do. So I'm just going to use that extend path thing. Now at the moment I had it set to straight, so I'll just tap E here a couple of times so I get Bezier extension there like so. And I could do that in my guide if it was important. It's not really a guide, but you know what I mean. There we go. So I've got that. I've got a few things just to correct just there. So I'm going to do those right now. Again, extend path tool takes me just seconds to go ahead and do that. Ooh, I think I just missed. There we go. I did. And let's do one just here. And oh, I've seen another hole there. Let's fix that right now. There we are. That's for my, I can see where the problem is. I'll fix that one after I finish the mirror operation just there. So let's do that one. Right. Back to the Orient Transform tool. Okay, so this is where this path will help me out. So again, select the object I want to actually use here, click and click. That's now on my, it's not really on my clipboard, but it's there on, you know, the things I need. I can then move along this path here. Okay. And I'll just go ahead and do that. Hold down the Option key there and do that. And you can see how now I know how far away they are from the base. And sometimes, again, I do them for the top and bottom. So if I was kind of doing that, let me just delete that one just there. And I think I might have detached that. So let's go ahead and pick that one up again. Then I can show you what I mean there. So now that's loaded. Whoops, a daisy. What happened there? There we go. Okay, it wants to stay on there. Good. Happy days. Let's go for the selection tool just for a moment and select that like that. It's operator error. Okay, there we are, loaded. So if I wanted to do something that was between these two, that's where I'd go ahead and draw like so. And this would help me out because I'd know that it was regular between those two spaces. So see what I mean? Really handy. This tool is so useful. I think I'm going to draw one the other way. So I'm just going to hold down the Option key and draw that way. I'll fix those line segments afterwards. Once I've done with that, because I'm kind of running out of time, we've got about 3 minutes left here. Let me just get rid of these lines just there. So my whoops-a-daisy, they're all grouped. Let's ungroup that and do that and get rid. There we are. Like I said, I'll fix those bits later. I'll go for my MirrorMe panel just here and then choose remove axes. That then changes that to actual artwork. Anything I draw on one side will not be replicated across to the other side. So this is where I can get along now and add the bits of irregular detail that actually make sense here for it. So if I just go ahead and pick this one up and bring that in, maybe that's a hatch that only occurs in that particular place. Do you know what would make that better? That particular hatch would be a line in the middle of it, like so, like that just there, because that way it looks like a hatch that will unfold. And now I can go back to this one, which is going to be, you could think of it as the windshield, but it would be slightly bigger than just your average car. Then I'll go ahead and get my width tool. So Shift W for that, go to the middle here. Okay. And bring that out like so, just to get that sort of window shape there. And then I might add a chunk just there. Okay. Like so. And then immediately after that, just add one that brings that right in. Now, of course, this isn't being mirrored as I would like it to be here, unfortunately, but you saw what the result of that was earlier. So I'm going to go ahead now and expand the appearance of that. Forgot I'd already added my shortcut for that. There we go. And then I can just cut this up quite simply. Yeah, chop this up in those two places just there. Get hold of this and just delete that. So let's do a little bit of cleanup just here. So I'm going to get my lasso tool, Q for the lasso tool. Select just those points, delete them. Get my extend path tool. You can see the tools that are the most in use here for this. It's basically these ones. Okay, to get these together, let's just extend that out to around about there. In fact, at this point, I probably will just join those together. In fact, I could even use that connector tool just there to connect those up, should I want to do so. So there we are, something like that. I'll keep right-clicking by accident. Let's go ahead and just ping those up and Command J to join those together. Once I've got that, zoom out a bit. Here, get the reflect tool. Go up to this point here, hold down the Option key and click. I want to do this horizontally, so across the horizontal axis. Thanks, Tim. Good to see you, mate. Thank you very much for coming along and having a watch. I'm not going to click copy. I'm going to hold down Option and hit return on my keyboard to do that. I can see there's a slight error just there. Not too fussed. In fact, what I would probably do here, let me just select both of these things. If I go with this one, get my scissors tool, I'd probably cut that one there, select this one and cut that one in the same place, get these two bits of segment here, and then join those together with this connector tool, because I know I'll get a really nice, smooth line. Now, you can probably imagine in the minute that I'm carrying on for here, that what I could then do if I wanted to add sort of some segments for the windshield here. Let me just change my stroke color just for a moment. I'll use something that I can see quite clearly and make that 5 points. So I'll go to the middle here. The middle would be the kind of important bit to do that. I could then tap A couple of times across that segment. Of course, I can just see there. I'll turn randomization off by tapping R. Let's tap A again, so we get it going across there. Okay, but you could see that I could quite easily do that. The line to do it would be the one from the bottom, but that's how I would join those together and create those segments for the window. I'd also use the middle bit just there. Let me just delete those. I'd use the middle bit, but you get the idea, I'm sure. So have a quick question. Hold on, if I may, what workflow would you use for freehand drawing in Illustrator and then coloring? Overlap lines and then expert. So this is from It's For saying, I usually like to draw with overlap lines and then expand appearance, live paint, make live paint, expand, delete all the overlapping lines. But when I work with the paint, lines become optically thinner and I don't know why. So it depends. When that happens with live paint, it's normally because there's a brush effect working on there, and live paint can't show brush effects. I use live paint all the time. I sometimes use it even for the purpose of cleanup. Even in something like this, I would do that. I might use live paint to actually clean things up, because remember, you can apply an attribute of none with the brush and the paint bucket in live paint. So the live paint bucket can change to a brush for strokes, and you can apply none. You've also got, in fact, I'm going to show you very quickly just here. Let me just draw a thing real quick. I'm not on a clock, so I can kind of go as long as I want, really. But I'll just do a couple of things just here. So let's just draw some things like so. Okay, and I'll change that. Line thickness, this, however, should be honored. But if I pop a brush stroke on one of these, or a width profile, let's do a width profile. Okay, increase the width profile so you can see it. Live paint doesn't really know how to deal with those. If I turn them into a live paint group, this is what I get. And this is probably the problem you're coming up against. Okay, and you can see what happens just there. Sometimes it drops them back down, sometimes with the width profile here. So this line was perfectly legal in the opinion of live paint. This one wasn't, and it just expanded it out to actually be that size. Let me just tap K to get the live paint bucket here, and I'll just pop some colors on here, just using the arrow keys to move through these colors here and color these up. Super. I've just created a new logo for Microsoft. Now I'm going to get the live paint tool, Shift L to get you the live paint tool. You can still click on segments here, okay, to target them, like this one here, okay, and delete them like so. Okay, so you can do that to get rid of those things. You can see why when you're working in live paint, it's a good idea to use round end caps. But you've got all of that you can still use. You can still get in. So if I wanted to change this around, you can still select things and move them. So if I do that again, the only thing is when I move this, if I did move it, or actually that one's not going to move, but if I was moving things around, it would change these regions, and then the regions would no longer work with it. But there you go. So that's probably what your problem is just there. As for expanding appearance and getting hold of, I'll use my new shortcut that I gave myself earlier. When you get all of the messy stuff with that, this is I use Vector First Aid to clean that up. So it'll check the selection. That's all fine according to the profile that I've got here. But if it wasn't, if there were extra points and stuff like that, it will get rid of it. So I'll just close up that panel. Let me go back to my ship, which I should have saved actually, so I can carry on working on it afterwards. If I get those things there, even with something like this, I might select the whole thing. I mean, I don't have to. I could just run it on the document itself. But if I do check selection, it tells me there are 34 stray points, 117 unneeded points, 2 duplicate art objects, and a partridge in a pear tree. There are 4 closed points, 3 access alignable points. That means that those things are almost on top of each other, imperceptibly close to each other. 102 inconsistent point types and 36 unnecessary handles. And I could just say, fix all of that stuff. Done. Clean, optimized artwork, which makes everybody's life easier. Anyway, I'm going to carry on drawing this now, but without you guys around, because I've got to get some more stuff done. Thanks ever so much for coming along and joining me. Let me know via my various different channels. You can follow me at Tony Harmer on Twitter and Instagram. Let me know. And if you want more random afternoon streams from Tony, just let me know. Okay, cheers. Take care. See you later.